This podcast is a member of the King of Wrestling Radio. Go to kowradio.weebly.com for more.
That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising. Talking is done. You're out of your class. No sleep till Brooklyn. The Rock whoops your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring, episode 22 for today, June 22nd. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that. Episode 22 on the 22nd. That's awesome. 2015. My name is Dave Brown. I am your host. Don't forget to check out Around the Ring on all of the various platforms, social medias, Twitters, Facebooks, all that good jazz. Our handle is Around the Ring OK. You can check us out all over the place. Also, a big thank you to the folks who let this show be on the air. The folks over at K98 Talk, the Spark Radio Network, and the Kings of Wrestling Radio, which you can find at kingsofwrestlingradio.weebly.com. It's also the little promo you heard at the beginning of the show. Thanks to everybody for that. And we're going to get right into it. It's going to be a bit of a sporadic show, probably not that awful long this week. Just got a bunch of stuff I actually have to get done today, so we will go from there. Big thing this last week, I think, really was, there was a lot of stuff. Bret Hart was talking some smack. Well, not really smack, but Bret Hart was talking, had an interview that was made some news. Dolph Ziggler apparently is not happy with his contract, or not happy with the situation in WWE, thinking about leaving, and a number of things. But I think really the big thing was Ring of Honor's Best in the World pay-per-view on Friday. I watched most of the show. Admittedly, I fast-forwarded through some of it. I was really interested in two matches. The main event, Jay Lethal, the World Television Champion, versus Jay Brisco, the World Champion, title for title match, and the Bullet Club versus the Kingdom, AJ Styles and the Young Bucks against Matt Taven, Michael Bennett, and Adam Cole, baby. I was really looking forward to that because Adam Cole is freaking awesome, and so is AJ Styles and the Young Bucks. There was some other stuff that was good on the show, but let's talk about kind of the main things. The brain stops working is what really happens. Cedric Alexander came out and I think pretty much finished his heel turn. On Wednesday, he had a match against Moose, actually beat Moose's undefeated streak thanks to a wrench that he clocked Moose out with. And then after Moose lost the triple threat match for the number one contendership, Veda Scott was freaking out, and Cedric came down to the ring and knocked out Moose with the wrench again. So pretty much heel turn there. Cedric Alexander is a hell of a talent, and they're not doing a whole lot with him. He's almost like Ring of Honor's Dolph Ziggler. So I hope this heel turn is what he needs to get kind of back on the board and, get moving back up the ranks, because he's freaking awesome. One of my favorite matches last year was a match he had with AJ Styles. It was just a thing of beauty to watch. Speaking of, AJ Styles and the Young Bucks taking on the Kingdom, fun as hell match. Just a shit ton of high spots. AJ Styles, best in the world. I would love to see a program with him and Adam Cole going against each other. It ended up with the Bullet Club winning. There was some controversy at the end in that Matt Taven and Michael Bennett were not happy with Adam Cole because he lost, but the guy took an indie taker and a Styles clash, so he wasn't getting up. Plus, when it all went down, he was alone taking on all three of the Bullet Club members. So it was tons of fun. I really suggest finding that match. And then the main event, Jay Brisco against Jay Lethal, title for title. It was an incredible match. Both of these guys are fantastic. and it was a hell of a lot of fun to watch. There was a great moment where Brisco hit Lethal with a J driller through off the apron through a table. That was pretty sick. The last few spots, though, ended with Lethal hitting a J driller and then into a lethal injection for the win. He walked out with both belts. Hell of a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun match, and it's nice to see Jay Lethal with the title. I think he's gonna be a great champion for Ring of Honor, especially now that Ring of Honor has their new TV deal, and we'll see. Both the Briscoes and Lethal are people that WWE should have picked up years ago. And apparently the Briscoes were offered a contract, an NXT contract. They went back to Ring of Honor and said, hey, this is what WWE's offered us. Can you do better? Ring of Honor countered. The Briscoes went back to WWE and said, hey, this is what Ring of Honor's offering. Can you do better? And WWE said, no, this is all we have to offer. And so the Briscoes are staying with Ring of Honor, which I think is great. The more I think there are successful wrestlers outside of WWE, guys who are able to show that you can make money doing this in other places, the better. So I think that's great. And plus, you get great matches like Jay Brisco versus Jay Lethal for the world title, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. Lucha Underground this week was an Iron Man match, or what they called All Night Long. Prince Puma against Johnny Mundo, and it was phenomenal. I mean, what do you expect? These are two of the best guys in the world. Some crazy-ass spots. At one point, 4 tables were set up, 2 next to each other and 2 on top of those. And Puma and Mundo were on this balcony area where the house band plays. Yes, they have a house band at the show. And Puma went all Jeff Jarrett and nailed Mundo with a guitar to the head, and then speared him off of this balcony through the tables. It was ridiculous. At that point, oh God, what's his name? Matt Stryker said, and I quote, "Holy shit." And Stryker and Vampiro are so much fun to listen to during matches. They went to commercial, came back, did a replay of the bit of the spot, which you don't see very often on Lucha Underground. I think it's all of the second replay they've ever done. Mundo was up 4 falls to 1, and they get back in the ring. Puma it basically comes down to 4-3 in favor of Mundo. Mundo says, "Screw this. We got 5 minutes. I'm just going to run away from you." Runs around, starts going up the stairs where the audience is, and gets walloped by Alberto El Patron, who just beats the crap out of him, throws him back into the ring. Puma gets another pin. It's all tied up, and Puma finally, in the last 10 seconds, hits his move, which is the 450. I think it was a 450. Gets a pin and retains the title. So going into Ultimo Lucha, we're going to have Puma defending the title against Drago, and I think we're going to have a just phenomenal grudge match, Johnny Mundo against Alberto El Patron. It should be a lot of fun. Let's see like I said, this is going to be a short show since I got a whole bunch of stuff going on today. I mean, it might be like epically short at this rate because we're halfway through the topics I wanted to talk about. Well, before we get into the WWE shows, let's talk a little bit about Bret Hart. Bret Hart did a State of the WWE address to Sports Wrestling Illustrated, or Sports Illustrated. God, I'm getting my titles mixed up. And the real things to talk, the highlights really, and I didn't read or listen to the whole thing, but the main things, the subject matter are about Tyson Kidd. Jesus Christ, this is going to be like the worst episode of the show ever. Sorry, guys. But Tyson Kidd has a neck spinal injury, that he sustained during a match against Samoa Joe. And Bret Hart is blaming Joe on the Muscle Buster move. So essentially saying that Tyson didn't have time to prepare. Apparently it was a last-minute match, and it's a shame. I'm really hoping that Tyson Kidd comes back. He's one of my favorite wrestlers right now. Him and Cesaro are the best tag team going today. Cesaro is one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers at the moment, especially in WWE. And in fact, that's something I'm going to get to. There was an article I found about the most underrated folks today in WWE. Yeah, he is basically says, hey, it is Samoa Joe's fault, and that's kind of bold, and also a little reckless, I think, because I don't think Joe was at fault. And I obviously don't think Joe was wanting to hurt anyone. Joe's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. So who knows? But Bret Hart may also know a lot more about the situation than we do. The other thing he talked about was Daniel Bryan. And he basically said, look, Daniel Bryan's career is over. He might not realize it yet, but he's done. And that's also a pretty bold thing to say. And I'm not sure how much I agree with it. I certainly hope he's not right. It would be a very sad day for wrestling if he is right. But yeah, that was just kind of the big thing. The other real kind of news coming out is apparently Dolph Ziggler's contract is coming up, and he is not happy with his current situation, his current standing in WWE, and I can't blame him. And who knows, maybe Ziggler will leave. Ziggler is, as far as in-ring ability, is one of the best talents that WWE has. He's one of the best talents in the world. He can go out there and have matches with anyone and make them look good. And he is just fantastic and is completely underused. So him thinking about leaving, I don't blame him. I mean, look, guys like Justin Gabriel are out in independence. And now knows PJ Black, his pre-WWE name, and are doing fine. AJ Styles is making a killing between Ring of Honor, New Japan, and his other indie dates he does. So, yeah, I mean, I think Ziggler could go out there and have a hell of a career on the indies. And can you imagine seeing him show up in Ring of Honor or in Lucha Underground? Matches with him against Johnny Mundo or him against Prince Puma? It would be phenomenal. Or just any of them, even New Japan. He would just kill it. And so, I hope it goes well for him. And if he stays with WWE, I hope they do something with him. And if he leaves, I hope he finds a great spot that he's happy with. Speaking of underrated talent, Bleacher Report had put together an article, Cesaro and the top 10 underutilized WWE superstars right now. So let's just run through the list. Number 10 is Jack Swagger. Number 9 is Bo Dallas. Number 8 is Emma. Number 7 is Adam Rose. Number 6 is Dolph Ziggler. Number 5, Luke Harper. 4, Cesaro. 3, Stardust / Cody Rhodes. 2, King Barrett. And number 1, Damian Sandow. I pretty much agree with this list with the exception of Jack Swagger. I just don't see anything great in Swagger. But otherwise, they're right. And the people I really think are criminally underused by WWE are Ziggler, Bo Dallas, Luke Harper, Damian Sandow. These guys are all just ridiculously underused. And I like Wade Barrett. And I like Cody Rhodes. Wade Barrett, I think, at this point might be unredeemable. He's a guy that WWE might need to cut bait and let him go off to the indies and do something else. Cody Rhodes still has a shit ton of potential and could really do something with himself with that career if WWE wants to. But guys like Harper, Cesaro, even Bray Wyatt. These guys should all be in the main event right now, and they're not. Sandow, too, and Ziggler, and that's a freaking crime. WWE shows this week honestly sucked. let's be completely honest. On Raw, God, I fast forwarded through so much of this shit. It was just my mind's been in other places. It's summertime. The latest episode of Pretty Little Liars hit Netflix was uploaded. My daughter and I have been binge watching that show, and we just finished and now started the season 6 through Hulu. So we're going to be keeping up with that. But we've been binge watching that sucker, and that's about all I've really been doing. That and focusing on, been doing a lot of stuff with my our music podcast, the K98X The Fringe podcast. But yeah, so I've been pretty distracted as far as wrestling goes this week. On Raw, there was a match between Neville and the Primetime Players and the New Day. The New Day needs to get their titles back. Sheamus and Dean Ambrose had a match. Dean Ambrose won. Ambrose is still over as all get out. Really, he also, you talk about someone criminally underused. I know he was just in a main event, but it's kind of sad what they're doing with him, because he should be a world champion right now. Kevin Owens had a match against Ziggler that was really freaking good, but Kevin Owens' big thing is Machine Gun Kelly was out to perform. He was from Cleveland, and they were in Cleveland, and he performed his shitty ass song, which I fast forwarded through. And then Kevin Owens came out clapping, kind of mocking, saying, "Hey, that was really good." And Machine Gun Kelly goes to shake his hand. Kevin Owens gets pissed. MCJ or MGC or MGK. God, I can't even keep this fucker's name straight. Shoves Owens. Owens kicks him in the gut, power bombs him off of the stage through a crash pad of some kind. It was awesome. Apparently, the whole bit was Machine Gun Kelly's idea. He's good friends with John Cena and wanted Kevin Owens to kick his ass. So I think that's cool. That makes I know nothing about this Machine Gun Kelly guy. His song was god awful, but that makes me kind of like him. The fact that, hey, I want to go take a bump from Kevin Owens, and that helped Kevin Owens, stock go way up. And this guy's on freaking fire. Then on SmackDown, there was a match, Kevin Owens against Cesaro. So I had to watch that. It was great, as to be expected. Owens won, which he should have. But again, you talk about, the hot new guy, Kevin Owens, against one of the most underused people that they've had in the last forever with Cesaro. Was a phenomenal match. I hope they have more of them. There's also a pretty funny bit with Bo Dallas and Dolph Ziggler. I love Bo Dallas. I know a lot of people don't. I just absolutely love Bo Dallas. I think he is a hoot, a ton of fun to watch, and I hate that he's not getting more. Hate they're not doing more with him. But that was pretty much it on kind of main roster WWE stuff that I saw this week. Most of it pretty bad. The Cesaro Owens match was great. The Owens Ziggler match was great. Seeing Ambrose get a win was great. So there was some good stuff. We had Neville has inserting himself with the New Day Primetime Players feud. I actually am enjoying that. So that stuff wasn't bad, but none of it compared to Ring of Honor or Lucha Underground this week. And then we'll get into the final thing. I'm going to try to let this thing go a good 25 minutes, so we might spread this part out a bit. NXT this week. We had a 6-person tag match with Enzo Amore, Colin Cassidy, and Carmella against Blake Murphy and Alexa Bliss. It was alright. The funny thing is, with Enzo and Cass, they are amazing. Enzo isn't the best worker in the ring, but he makes up for it tenfold with his charisma and his gift on the mic. He's just a phenomenal talker. Cass has gotten a lot better in the ring over the last few years. I really enjoy him. Blake and Murphy are actually pretty dang good. It's still, there's a part of me that's like, man, they were a job team for so long, but they've had a good record. Carmella, she's there, and Alexa Bliss is a teeny tiny little pretty princess. I would say between her and Carmella, she's the better wrestler of the two, but in and of itself, that's not saying a whole lot. What else happened in NXT? The real big thing was the main event, Samoa Joe against Kevin Owens. They did a hell of a job building this up, giving it a real big fight feel. The match itself was pretty good. It wasn't phenomenal. I think they're probably holding back a bit on what these two guys could do. So I'm looking forward to future times when they go out there and have matches. But overall, it was really good. But the best thing on the show this week, by far, was part one of a documentary about Finn Balor. And one of the great things about it is they have him tell you his real name, Fergal Devitt. And they've gone through his time in ICW, which is Insane Championship Wrestling, and they're going to now talk, next week they're going to do part 2, talk about his time in New Japan, how much they talk about the Bullet Club, and if they get any footage from New Japan, we'll see. But just a phenomenal documentary about him. And I'm really hoping that when they show him coming into WWE, they finally show the moment where on his debut in NXT where it says Prince Devitt across the screen and then it changes to Finn Balor. I think that would be fantastic. One other NXT related tidbit this week, Kevin Owens was in an interview with Michael Cole, one of the WWE.com interviews, and it was talking about it was about his feud with John Cena, basically. And he made this distinction about, he basically talking up NXT, and he said, even I'm guilty of this, saying I won my first match in WWE against John Cena, but haven't I been in WWE this whole time down in NXT? My contract doesn't say NXT, it says WWE. And I've been wrestling in WWE for months. I've been defending this title for months. And he made a good point. It really talked up the NXT brand and making it important. I think they're going to still keep it they're going to treat it as a very distinct, separate thing, which I think they should. NXT should always have its own distinct personality. It needs to be a different, separate brand. And it needs to do essentially two things. One, it needs to be the spot for new and upcoming people to eventually go to the main roster. It still needs to be that developmental system. But two, it needs to be the place where indie veterans come to really showcase their talent to a broader market, and in building a second brand, an almost modern day WCW. And I think that is entirely possible, and I hope that's what happens. I mean, with the people they have there now, and the talks of them, trying to get AJ Styles, though. I mean, he's the IGWP champion, for Pete's sake. How are they gonna, get him away? But talk of getting AJ Styles. They'll probably try to get Adam Cole. But imagine having these guys in NXT, and it would just really flesh out that roster and make things pretty freaking incredible. But to me, NXT needs to be this twofold thing. It's this place for building new stars for the main roster, and then a place to bring in the best indie talent, basically a place for smart fans to be able to enjoy great wrestling. And yeah, that's, what? I said we were going to be going fast this week. Here at Around the Ring, we respect your time and appreciate you taking what little time you have out of your week to listen to me jibber jabber. So that's going to be it for this week. Don't forget, you can send any questions, comments, suggestions to aroundtheringok@gmail.com. You can like us on the Facebook, facebook.com/aroundtheringok. You can follow us on Twitter at Around the Ring OK. And then there's our homepage, aroundtheringok.wordpress.com. Got all our past episodes there. Make sure to check that out. And that's going to be it for this week. So we will see you here next week. I have no idea what's going to happen on what's even up for Raw tonight. And, I forgot to mention, Brock Lesnar was on Raw this week. This is how kind of bored I've been with Raw and SmackDown. Brock Lesnar was on. He was great. Made Seth Rollins look like he was about to pee his pants. And I completely forgot about it. That's pretty bad. But we're out of here. Hope everyone has a great week. And a happy belated Father's Day to all you dads out there. Everyone, as the great Jerry Springer always said, take care of yourselves and each other.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view and believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Damn! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.